But leadership for me is ultimately in our servant model that we truly believe in here in Catholic High, our mission based on the person and teachings of Jesus Christ. This servant leadership, for me, has always been based around two critical words. One is gratitude. The gratitude first and foremost of a loving God, the gratitude that we should have for one another and for all the gifts we have to share with each other every day. But also, that gratitude is quickly followed in my model of leadership with humility. The idea that you're doing your job best as a leader when you conduct those around you to do their jobs, do them well, and do them with a sense, I believe, of gratitude and support, that they believe they are appreciated in what they do for so many. The leadership retreat has always been based on students being called here. The calling comes from coaches, mentors, teachers, administrators who select these young men and women to be here. For these young men and women to find out that they've been recommended by numerous adults in the community is a great feeling of appreciation and honor, I'm sure. And to the best of their ability, because of that, they try to be here.
It's been wonderful to be with the students on my second and third days on the job as chaplain at Lancaster Catholic, to see how seriously our students are taking this retreat, how seriously they're considering what we're trying to teach them about leadership, and how they can apply that to their lives, how they see that successfully in their clubs and their sports and the band, whatever it is, and how they see that unsuccessfully lived out. And I think it's really challenging them to look at how they could do better, how they could change things, and how what they do in these groups has a real impact on that group and the school.
Where we see the leadership qualities, 7 in number, that we review and teach here, that these 7 qualities not just become part of a handful of leaders in our school, but that these 7 qualities of leadership begin to permeate the entire community in all we do and wherever we are as Catholic High students, teachers, and administrators. These are the universals that go with us wherever we go. We're at it, whatever we teach and to whoever we teach it.
With leadership at Catholic High, I definitely think we have a really good community here. And I guess the most important thing is to just encourage other people, especially if you're an upperclassman, encourage the underclassmen, and just kind of like be supportive and encouraging whenever you can.
That leadership is a daily, weekly, monthly, annual activity, a constant based on eternal principles that will not change. That's our goal now, and that's our hope to implant in these students and all our students in the months and years to come.
I guess if you want to know more about yourself and how you're capable, or what you're capable of, this is what this leadership retreat is all about. It's finding out who you are as a person and how you can translate who you are to other people and lead by your example.
Well, how will that look? How do we do that? Well, obviously, it's to continue to do it here with this retreat. But it's also to take these qualities back to our clubs, sports, and all other activities, and ensure that the leaders there who aren't here, adults as well as students, have the information needed as well as the direction to do and live these 7 principles in their activities, sports, music, clubs, etc., in the life of the school. That's a huge goal, but we plan on accomplishing it.
So one of the things I learned about leadership is working with different personalities you have to take in different situations. So with like a sports team, if there's like some sort of drama going on, there's different personalities that mesh together, So it's just trying to figure out a way that everyone's going to end up working together. And that could be using, like having your coaches help you or their teammates, or going to even a teacher and asking for their advice if you can't figure it out, like as a team yourselves.
The second part that this leadership retreat kind of is a tip of the iceberg for is forming our students to see that their leadership expands beyond the gates of the school.
Well, I think when you think about disciple leadership, the whole follow a leader structure compared to normal leadership, you have to understand that you are not at the top, you are not like the alpha per se. There's always someone higher than you, and you have to understand that as a leader, you can go to the ultimate leader, God, to help you as a leader with the people you are in charge of. And you have a great example of some great leaders out there who can guide you. You're not alone in the leadership position.
Their leadership, first of all, is almost seemingly natural. That they come to it, I believe, so much with the way they've been raised by their parents and families, the expectations that they have for them, certainly the life of faith that they participate in their parishes now. And so that when we get them here as 14-year-olds and older, there's this natural tendency for them to be recognized as leaders.
I already knew a lot of the different parts about being a leader, but having them in a defined science really helped understand what exactly I'm doing, how to do it better and more effectively. And I think secondly, the thing that I learned most about myself with being a leader is just you can know as much as you want about being a leader and leaders in action, but once you actually put yourself to the test, a lot of attributes about yourself come out, such as, like, for me personally, I'm more of not the most aggressive leader, I'm not the most active. I tend to look at things a little bit more passively, and once I understand them, then I apply myself more.
And it was all very interesting, everything that we did. I liked how everything, connected, whether it be what we were talking about in the meeting room or what we were doing as an activity with, like, assess the situation and encourage the heart and things like that, and how the activities that we were doing helped me to learn how to better assess a situation, to better encourage someone just by having to think the way they do for a few minutes just to figure out a solution.
And I think it helps, like, learning about yourself and your own personality definitely helps with, like, learning about what you can offer to a group, but also what you can gain from, like, others, or how you can work with, like, different personality types.
Was on the first day we did many, like, low ropes and, like, group activities where the entire group was working together for one purpose, and it was really clear that certain people were taking the lead super well, including myself at certain points, and really working together. But it came to a point when people started to get frustrated, a lot of people would drop off, stop paying attention, stop helping the group, start trying to do their own thing, stop listening. And I think learning to get that group control and learning to make sure everyone continually works together is one of the most difficult things that I and a lot of people encountered on the retreat.
I think one thing that impacted me personally, from my understanding as a leader, is I kind of realized that I have to contribute something, and in return there will be people that will give something back to me, and in a certain way we will equalize the load so that as a team you can accomplish things together because everyone's contributing something.
And so one of the things that's so neat about our students when we gather them as leaders is there's almost this innate sense that they get it. They get what we're talking about and that we want to build on, and kind of get them to own as leaders in their own right, to name these qualities, to know what they mean and how to explain them to others.
And I never realized how that worked until you put it into practice, that you literally have to either physically, mentally, or even spiritually put effort into something.
Something I learned about myself is that my personality type, or like the people grouped along with me in my personality type, like we tend to be kind of impulsive, or like more like we just go right into things and maybe forget to plan sometimes. And while that helps like creativity, sometimes it's definitely good to plan things out first.
We did a lot of activities over this 3-day period, and on the first day we had a lot of activities that were team building, and at first it was really difficult because we still had to build trust. That is the most important thing in terms of leadership, is you need to build trust.
I think trust was a major thing, which was like necessarily trusting people per se, but even trusting myself. Like on the first day when we were doing the apparatus, being able to trust other people to do their part and not trying to be over controlling or like constantly reminding people even of what they're supposed to be doing, which can get annoying.
So we work with a very fertile ground here, and I'm very happy to say that that's something we never take for granted. That comes from the parents, that comes from our community, our pastors, our parishes, and we're here to build on that, not to try to replace it.
So something I learned about myself as a leader is I tend to take more control, and I took a step back during one of the team building things, and I went in as a different perspective, and I actually understood what to do at that time. And so it was just nice to see different perspectives of how to do it.
That you have to put effort into everything that you do.
Well, I definitely think that anyone can be a leader if they really put their mind to it. Certain people are going to be predisposed to it, but if you work hard and you really desire to lead a people or to lead a club or a sports team, you have to be willing to put in the work and truly lead and be constantly conscious of that.
But with discipleship, your relationship with God, communication is probably the biggest part, because it's like with God, he's not going to give you a verbal answer, so you really have to make sure that you're listening and aware of signs and things like that in your life, to know that he's still there and listening, even if you can't actually hear him.
Honestly, the most challenging thing of this whole leadership retreat has been just the idea of coming out of myself, thinking outside of myself. It's very easy for so many people to just think only of themselves, and worry about me, myself, and I, and what I want, etc., etc. But with being a leader, you can't do that. You have to put time and effort, not only in, we learned things such as assess the situation. You can't just look inside of yourself for that. You have to observe your surroundings and the people in those surroundings.
Well, disciple leadership, the main difference between disciple leadership and normal leadership is one thing, and that's go to God first. You start with prayer, you keep prayer throughout the whole thing.
For me, it's important to consider how Christ changed our understanding of leadership, how so many expected him to set up a traditional kingdom with himself at the top, waging war and holding all the trappings of a king, but instead he took the route of a servant and said the one who leads must be one who first serves. That if you wish to be the greatest among us, you must become the least. Especially important for us priests to remember that we must be the servants of the people. We must be at their disposal, we must serve them. We must follow the example of our Holy Father, who has the title of the servant of the servants of God. And that we must inspire this kind of leadership among the people, because all of our understanding of leadership as something to be grasped at, some kind of power to gain and to wield over others, to lord over them as the Gentiles do, as our Lord reminds us, all of that is an effect of original sin. All of that is something that did not come from God, did not come from his style of leadership of all creation. And so we've got to remove those elements and work to fight against our concupiscence, to fight against our tendency towards grasping that power, and instead lead and serve as Christ did.
As they represent Catholic High in the community, particularly their parishes, that their leadership style attracts students to want to hear about this kind of thing as well. That this reality of love manifesting itself in these principles is something that attracts their fellow friends who may not be at Catholic High into engagement and conversation. Not so much that they therefore want to come to Catholic High, that I'll be more than welcome, but that the outreach of evangelization is something the school wants to see more and more. That we evangelize certainly within our building, but that the evangelization reaches out to our faithful community members. That we become another way that the love of God is heard and given witness to throughout the Lancaster County community. Another important step for this leadership retreat.